Sometimes, what you don't say reveals more than everything you could ever boast about. The smartest men I've met all share one trait, not how much they speak, but what they choose to keep unspoken. Welcome to NexusMind. Today, we're not chasing more information. We're uncovering wisdom buried under pride, fear, and habits of self-defense. Because every careless word leaks energy. Every excuse hides a fear. And every time you speak just to protect your ego, you lose a little self-respect. In this video, we'll explore 7 things an intelligent man never says. Not because he's perfect, but because he understands silence, humility, and self-control are the foundations of true strength. Take a deep breath. Sit with me for these next few minutes. This might change how you speak and how you see yourself. 1. I already know that. The trap of the ego. I already know that. It sounds harmless, even confident, but it's one of the most dangerous sentences an intelligent man can say, because the moment those words leave your mouth, your mind stops listening. You build a wall between who you are and who you could become. It's not knowledge that blinds us, it's arrogance. Most people never notice this. The mind loves certainty. It loves the feeling of being right more than the discipline of becoming wise. But the Stoics understood something deeper. The man who believes he already knows everything has already stopped learning. I remember sitting across from an older mentor years ago, a quiet man who only spoke when his words carried weight. I was young, eager, full of opinions. He started explaining a principle about self-discipline, something I'd read before. I interrupted halfway and said, "Yeah, I already know that." He didn't react. He didn't argue. He smiled gently and said one line that branded itself into my mind. "If you truly knew, you would already be living it." That was the day I realized how the ego hides behind knowledge. We collect quotes, books, podcasts, philosophies, but without humility, all we gather is noise. Wisdom isn't stored in your memory, it's proven through your behavior. The Stoics lived by this. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man of his era, still wrote to himself every night as if he were just a student. He reminded his own soul, "If someone shows you your error, accept it gladly, for truth never harms the one who lives by it." Think about that. The ruler of an empire still welcomed correction. To the Stoic mind, the goal isn't to appear wise, but to become wiser today than you were yesterday. Every time you say, "I already know that," what you're really saying is, "I don't want to look foolish." But there's nothing foolish about being a student. The fool is the one who refuses to be one. An intelligent man listens twice before he speaks once. He doesn't pretend to know. He asks, he observes, he experiments. He knows wisdom rarely shouts. It whispers when pride is quiet. So the next time you hear an idea you've heard 100 times, don't dismiss it. Ask yourself, am I actually practicing this or just agreeing with it? Knowledge without embodiment is just entertainment. If you read about patience but still snap in traffic, you don't know patience. You only memorize the word. If you quote Seneca on self-control but lose yourself to anger every week, you're not living stoicism. You're collecting it like souvenirs. The intelligent man understands. Repetition isn't boredom. Repetition is mastery. The same truth revisited with a deeper mind becomes new again. So here's a small Stoic exercise. The next time someone offers you advice, instead of saying, "I know," pause and breathe. Ask, What can I still learn here? Then listen, not to prove them wrong, but to refine yourself. The ego resists this. It wants to be seen as the teacher, not the learner. But the wisest men are both. They speak from experience, not pride. They correct others gently, but themselves ruthlessly. Seneca wrote, "While we teach, we learn." Every conversation is a chance to become better, not to dominate, but to grow. So stop collecting wisdom like trophies. Practice it. The man who truly knows, I don't need to announce it. He lives it, breathes it, becomes it. Remember this, you don't need to be the smartest voice in the room, only the most teachable. Because the moment you stop learning, your intelligence stops being a strength and starts becoming a limitation. 2. It's impossible. The lie that protects your fear. It's impossible. 2 words that sound rational, but are usually nothing more than fear disguised as logic. When a man says something is impossible, he isn't describing reality. He's describing his limits. What he truly means is, I don't want to face the discomfort required to make this possible. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They knew the worst prison is never external. It's built inside the mind. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." Let that sink in. We don't avoid challenges because they're hard. They remain hard because we keep avoiding them. I once worked with a man who dreamed of writing a book. Every year, he said the same line, "I just don't have the time. It's impossible with my schedule." One day I asked, "How much time do you spend scrolling before bed?" He looked down. "About an hour." "Then your book isn't impossible," I said. "It's just inconvenient." We use the word impossible to make peace with our procrastination, a way to feel wise while staying still. But nothing meaningful is ever born from comfort. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, betrayal, and war. Yet every morning he reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not external events. If a Roman emperor surrounded by chaos could still find progress, what exactly is impossible for us? Most things you call impossible are simply uncomfortable. You don't lack ability. You lack the willingness to be bad at something for a while. That's the difference between intelligent men and everyone else. They begin before they feel ready. When you label something impossible, your brain stops looking for solutions. But when you ask, what would make this possible? Suddenly, walls turn into doors. Try this Stoic exercise. Think of one thing you've been calling impossible. Fixing a relationship, starting a business, changing a habit. Now write down 3 questions. What is one small action I can take today? What belief is making me afraid to try? Who has done this before me, and how? You'll notice something powerful. Most impossibilities evaporate when faced with concrete steps. The Stoics didn't wait for motivation. They acted their way into clarity. Epictetus trained his students through voluntary discomfort, skipping a meal, walking in the cold, speaking uncomfortable truths, not to suffer, but to prove the mind's power over circumstances. The modern world softens us with comfort. We treat discomfort like poison, but comfort is the real poison. Slow, quiet, addictive. Growth, on the other hand, happens in the furnace of difficulty. When you say, it's impossible, you're closing the gym where your soul is meant to train. Remember, every great life begins with an unreasonable decision. Climbing a mountain when others mocked it, starting over at 40, forgiving someone who doesn't deserve it, choosing discipline over excuses. None of those were impossible, just unpracticed. So the next time those words rise in your throat, pause, replace "it's impossible" with "it's just not mastered yet." That shift changes everything. The intelligent man doesn't worship comfort, he worships progress. He knows nothing new feels natural at first. Every strong version of him began as a beginner who refused to quit. Saying "it's impossible" is the ego trying to stay safe. Saying "let's find a way" is the Stoic choosing to become strong. And once you stop running from discomfort, almost nothing is truly impossible. 3. It's not my fault. The easiest way to stay weak. It's not my fault. A small sentence, but one that slowly destroys your strength. Every time you say it, you place your power in someone else's hands. You declare that your peace, your progress, your future depends on another person's behavior. And that is one of the most dangerous illusions a man can live under. Yes, life hits unfairly. People betray you. Situations collapse. But the Stoics had a brutal truth for moments like this. We suffer not from the things themselves, but from our judgment about them. Epictetus' responsibility isn't about blame. Blame looks backward. Responsibility looks forward. Blame says, "I'm helpless." Responsibility says, "I can still respond." I remember a friend who was fired from a company he helped build. He worked long nights, gave everything he had, and then a new management team pushed him out. For months, he repeated the same line, "They ruined my life, it's not my fault." And he was right, it wasn't his fault. But while he stayed angry, they moved on. His bitterness became a prison, and he was the one guarding the door. Eventually, he began writing again, small essays, quiet reflections, and he realized something. They took my job, not my voice. That was the moment he stopped blaming and started building. Because responsibility is not about guilt, it's about reclaiming authorship. Marcus Aurelius faced the same injustices: betrayal from friends, corruption within his own ranks, loss within his family. Yet in his private writings he reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He never wasted a sentence blaming anyone. He focused entirely on what remained his judgment, his reason, and his next step. The Stoic man doesn't chase fairness, he chases virtue. He knows control is never found through accusation, only through ownership. When you say, "It's not my fault," you may protect your pride, but you poison your power. You build a temporary shelter out of resentment, but resentment is a poor home. It warms you for one night, then corrodes your spirit. Try this Stoic reflection tonight. Take one situation that still makes you angry, a betrayal, a setback, a delay. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What part of this is truly outside my control? 2. What part can I influence, even by 1%? 3. What can I learn that will make me stronger next time? Then act on that 1%. That's all the Stoic ever needs. 1%, consistently applied. The world doesn't owe you fairness, but you owe yourself growth. Every time you take ownership, even when it feels unfair, you evolve. And the man who keeps evolving eventually outgrows the people who wounded him. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." So stop waiting for apologies that may never arrive. Stop waiting for the world to make things right. Start making yourself right. Intelligent men understand this. Excuses keep you comfortable. Responsibility keeps you powerful. When you take ownership of your reactions, your habits, your choices, you become untouchable. No betrayal, no insult, no loss can break a man who says, "I'm still in control of how I rise." Remember this: the moment you stop saying, "It's not my fault," your life begins to move again, because strength starts where blame ends. 4. I don't need anyone. The illusion of independence. I don't need anyone. On the surface, it sounds strong, fearless, self-reliant, admirable in a world obsessed with independence. But look deeper. Behind that sentence often hides a wound. A man who once relied, once trusted, and was hurt. Many men say it not from strength, but from self-protection. They confuse isolation with power, silence with peace, and emotional distance with control. But Stoicism never glorified loneliness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like hands or feet, like eyelids, or the rows of upper and lower teeth. To act against one another is to act against nature." That single line destroys the myth of the lone wolf. Wolves survive in packs. Soldiers fight in formation. Even philosophers sharpened their ideas through dialogue. The Stoics didn't avoid people. They learned how to love wisely. They sought friendships rooted in virtue, not convenience. They surrounded themselves with people who challenged them, not people who flattered them. I once knew a man who swore off relationships. "People disappoint me," he said. "I'm better off alone." He spent years in isolation, no conflict, no betrayal, and no growth. One day he admitted quietly, "Peace is easy when no one tests your patience, but it's also meaningless. Because virtue cannot grow in solitude. Patience, compassion, courage, these qualities require other people. You can't practice forgiveness in an empty room. You can't learn empathy staring at a wall." Stoicism teaches that the goal is not detachment from people, but detachment within relationships. You stay calm when others lose control. You keep dignity when others gossip. You give kindness without needing it back. That is true strength, not withdrawal, but mastery. So if you've been carrying the armor of, "I don't need anyone," ask yourself, am I protecting my peace or avoiding intimacy? Am I calm or simply numb? The intelligent man learns to open the door again, carefully, not naively. He chooses allies, not audiences. He knows solitude is essential for reflection, but connection is essential for evolution. Seneca wrote letters to his friend Lucilius until his final days, not to lecture, but to share his daily struggles. He understood that wisdom grows through conversation. He wrote, "When we teach, we learn," meaning helping someone else is itself a lesson in humility. Try this practice tonight. List 3 people who raise your standards, not your ego. Message one of them with honesty. "I respect how you live. Can we exchange ideas sometime?" You'll notice something powerful. Connection built on respect strengthens discipline. It sharpens your thinking. It reveals your blind spots. Because strength isn't found in isolation. It's found in interdependence with boundaries. You give, but you don't bleed out. You receive, but you don't rely. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them or bear with them." That isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The man who says, "I don't need anyone," may protect himself from pain, but he also shuts himself off from meaning, and meaning is what keeps us human. So remember this: you don't need everyone, but you do need someone, not to complete you, but to refine you, not to save you, but to challenge you, not to fill your emptiness, but to reflect the man you are becoming. Because the Stoic does not hide from connection. He rises through it. He simply refuses to let it control him. True strength is not isolation. It's the calm ability to stand with others without losing yourself. 5. I'm too old for that. The excuse that kills growth. I'm too old for that. It sounds harmless, even practical, but it's not truth. It's fear dressed up as wisdom. The Stoics would say, you're not too old, you're simply too comfortable. Age doesn't shut doors, attitude does. Seneca wrote, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Think about that. A man who advised emperors still saw himself as a student until his final breath. Yet today, countless men quit too early. They stop learning new skills. They stop taking risks. They stop letting curiosity lead them. They trade adventure for familiarity and call it maturity. But it's really quiet surrender. I once met a man in his 60s who always wanted to learn piano. He shrugged and said, "What's the point now? I'll never be great." I asked, "So you'd rather die without the music than live imperfectly with it?" He laughed, but that night he practiced for 15 minutes. A year later, he played at his granddaughter's birthday. He wasn't great, he was alive. The Stoics never measured worth by age, only by effort. Cato started studying philosophy when most men were chasing comfort. Marcus Aurelius kept journaling into his final days, not to display wisdom, but to cultivate it. For them, learning wasn't a phase, it was a virtue. The truth is, when you say, "I'm too old," what you mean is, "I'm afraid to look like a beginner again." But the intelligent man knows humility is the price of transformation. You cannot evolve if you refuse to start small. Modern culture praises youth as if energy belongs only to the young. Stoicism reminds us that discipline outlives youth. A clear mind, a steady heart, and a sense of purpose will outrun any distracted 20-year-old. Let's be honest, you may not move as fast as before, but you can move wiser. You can learn with more depth because you now understand patience. You can love deeper because you know loss. You can create better because you care less about applause. Try this reflection tonight. Think of one thing you've been saying, "I'm too old for." Changing careers, traveling solo, starting therapy, learning a skill. Write this sentence. If I start today, what will my future self thank me for 1 year from now? That's the only timeline that matters, not the years behind you, but the one you still command. Epictetus said, "No man is free who cannot master himself." Mastery doesn't care about age, only about willingness. Every day you wake up breathing is another chance to begin again. Remember, Seneca wrote some of his greatest works in his 60s. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations in his 50s, exhausted, sick, and overwhelmed by war. Neither man said, "I'm too old for this." They said, "As long as I live, I can still practice virtue." The intelligent man knows years don't define him. Curiosity does. He chooses to age forward, not backward. He knows regret ages you faster than any birthday. So when that whisper says, "It's too late," answer with calm defiance, "No, I'm right on time for the life I'm still meant to live." Because the Stoic doesn't count the years behind him. He counts the wisdom he can still turn into action. Remember this: you don't grow old when your body slows. You grow old when your curiosity stops asking, "What else can I still become?" 6. I'll do it tomorrow. The silent killer of discipline. "I'll do it tomorrow." 4 innocent words, but they've buried more dreams than failure ever has. Every time you say them, a piece of your discipline dies. You might not notice it today, but tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes never. Seneca warned us centuries ago, while we delay, life speeds by. He wasn't trying to scare you, he was trying to wake you up. Time doesn't wait for your readiness. It moves with or without you. The illusion of tomorrow comforts the lazy and deceives the capable. It gives you the false sense that you're in control, as if you can pause destiny, as if you can schedule courage. But you can't delay the sunrise, and you can't delay self-respect. I once coached a man who wanted to get back in shape. Every Monday, he said he'd start tomorrow. One Friday, I asked him, "How many tomorrows have you lived since January?" He forced a smile. "Too many." That's the danger. Procrastination doesn't feel deadly until it becomes identity. One day you wake up and realize you built a life on intentions instead of action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." It sounds harsh, but it's liberating, because once you remember your time is limited, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop waiting for confidence. You stop waiting for the right moment. You act now, not from panic, but from clarity. The Stoics called it memento mori. Remember you will die, not to be dark, but to stay awake. When you truly hold that in your mind, "I'll do it tomorrow," loses all meaning. There is no later for a man who understands how fragile now is. Let's be honest, procrastination has never been about time management. It's about emotion management. You're not out of time, you're avoiding discomfort. You don't want to begin because you fear imperfection, effort, judgment, or failure. But every time you delay, you train your mind to associate action with pain. Stoicism flips that. Epictetus taught, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." The Stoic doesn't wait to feel inspired. He acts first, and discipline grows from the action. Consistency isn't built on mood, it's built on duty. Try this Stoic challenge. Pick one thing you've been delaying, something small but meaningful. Cleaning your space, starting a workout, making that difficult call. Set a timer for 10 minutes. No debate, just begin. Don't aim to finish, aim to start. You'll notice something powerful. The resistance only exists before the first step. Once you move, clarity appears. And with every small action, you rebuild trust with yourself. A trust procrastination quietly destroys. Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it. But we waste years waiting to feel brave, when courage only grows through action." We delay the book, the call, the change, not because time is short, but because we've forgotten how precious it is. The intelligent man learns this. Every later steals a piece of your peace. Every tomorrow becomes a tax on your future self. And every unfulfilled promise is a subtle act of self-betrayal. Stop telling yourself you'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Discipline only exists here, in this breath, in this decision, in the next small step. Because to the Stoic, a wasted day isn't a day where you failed. It's a day where you never began. Remember this: "I'll do it tomorrow" is the slowest form of surrender. Start today, even poorly. Imperfect action today will always outrank perfect intentions tomorrow. 7. That's just who I am. The surrender of the mind. That's just who I am. It sounds honest, but most of the time it's not truth. It's resignation. Those 5 words have ended more growth, more healing, and more second chances than failure ever has. Because when you say them, you stop writing your story and start rereading your excuses. The Stoics would tell you, nothing about your character is fixed except the habits you refuse to question. Epictetus taught, you are not what happens to you, but how you choose to respond. Meaning your identity is not a prison, it's a pattern, and patterns can be rewritten. I once knew a man who always lost his temper. Every disagreement, every minor inconvenience, he exploded. Then he'd shrug and say, that's just who I am. I've always been like this. For years, he wore anger like a badge of authenticity. Until one night, his teenage son looked him in the eyes and said, Dad, I hope I don't become like you. Silence. That single moment shattered the illusion. It's one thing to live with your flaws. It's another to pass them on. He began journaling every morning, following Marcus Aurelius's habit of writing not to impress, but to examine the self. He learned that self-awareness without correction is self-deception. And slowly, the phrase, that's just who I am, became, that's who I was. That is the heart of Stoicism. You are not defined by your past, but by your willingness to master it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. No self-pity, no identity drama, just quiet, consistent transformation. Because the truth is this, every time you say, that's just who I am, you trade possibility for comfort. You choose predictability over progress. You choose familiar pain over unfamiliar discipline. But change doesn't require becoming someone new. It requires shedding everything that was never truly you. The anger, the fear, the laziness, the apathy. Those aren't your nature. They're not your nature. They're your conditioning. And the Stoic's duty is to peel away illusion until only virtue remains. If you truly believe in fate, then you must also believe in choice. Fate gives you circumstances, but choice gives them meaning. You can't control where you began, but you control your trajectory. Try this Stoic exercise tonight. Write one sentence that starts with, that's just who I am. Then rewrite it. Example, that's just who I am. I get angry easily. Becomes, I'm learning to stay calm when provoked. Do this for 3 traits. You'll see how language shapes your destiny, how identity bends when exposed to awareness. Seneca said, no man becomes wise by chance. Wisdom is not luck, it's practice. And practice begins the moment you stop defending weakness as personality. Remember, intelligence without humility becomes arrogance. Humility without action becomes apathy. The Stoic walks the line between both, aware of his flaws, but relentless in correcting them. So the next time you hear yourself say, that's just who I am, stop. Because the man you're protecting is the same man who's been holding you back. Rewrite that sentence, and you'll rewrite your future. Remember this, you're not a fixed story. You're a living manuscript. Every day, you choose whether to edit your weaknesses or justify them. The intelligent man never says, that's just who I am. He says, that's who I'm becoming.